Ashley today, and I'm so excited. We're talking about a topic that I don't know much about, but I'm hoping Ashley is going to give us all of the insight about it. We're going to talk about play-based learning, or dramatic play centers, if you're more familiar with that terminology. But before we get into that, I'm going to have Ashley introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her experience and why she knows so much about this topic.
Hello, Heather. Thank you for having me. So, I have spent 12 years in special education, working 7 years in a middle school setting, 4 years in a cross-cat setting, which is elementary. I primarily worked grades 3 to 5, and then finishing up my second year in ECSE, which is early childhood special education, and my students are ages 2 to 5. Um, so, I'm really excited to share some information about all of this and kind of enhance your knowledge about play-based learning.
Yeah, so you said your second year now. So have you changed things from what you did your first year to your second year, or are you kind of doing the same thing each year?
Totally have changed everything. My
Okay.
co-teacher and I were just reminiscing about the first month of we both were brand new to pre-K, and what we thought was great, we quickly learned was not. And I feel like everyone's teaching experience is like that.
Yeah.
So what we learned was that play-based learning is a term that I'll give you like the definition is
Yeah.
like when education and psychology describe how children can learn and make sense of the world around them. So children
Hmm.
learn through play, but
Yeah.
I didn't adjust to that super well. Just coming from 3 to 5,
Hmm.
it's a very different world, and we're talking grades 3 to 5. So those
Yeah.
kids are, 8 to 11. Um, so my goal as a pre-K teacher is to enhance a child's skill cognitively, socially, expressively,
Hmm.
receptively, communication wise, and so much more. So it's
Hmm.
really, really fun. And how you do that, you can honestly just take a simple thing like a balloon, and you can turn it into an experience that is turn taking, teaching kids those social skills, not just
Hmm.
grabbing a toy. You can work on a core vocabulary word or a fringe vocabulary word like balloon for their fringe vocabulary. Or if you
Hmm.
want to work on core vocabulary, you can implement more or go or up, down. So something so small can make a massive difference in your room. And play doesn't have to be, I think what we define it as, like this very structured, where everyone
Hmm.
has a role and you're in a kitchen flipping pancakes and one kid's taking your order with a notepad. Like that doesn't have that. I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people think it is, but
Hmm.
it's so much more than that.
Yeah, I was with my 3-year-old niece today, and she has this like little ice cream set. And so she kept bringing over like a thing of ice cream, like, on a little cone, and kept passing it to me, and she'd go, eat it. And so I go, like the normal. And then she did the same thing. And after like the third or fourth time she brought it over, I just dropped it onto the floor and went, oh no, my ice cream fell. And like the problem solving that she had to figure out in that moment was just so awesome to see, because like she was like, oh, the routine, I give you ice cream, you eat it, you give it back to me, I give you a new one. But now she was like, wait, now this play has now changed, we're doing something different. Now how do I respond to this? And then she had to kind of figure out like, oh, let's pick it up and I'll get you a new one. Where it kind of changed the play a little bit. So yeah. Do you have any favorite activities that you've done over the last couple years? Or maybe some that you're excited to try in the future?
Yes. So there are so many different ones. Like I said, something simple like a balloon,
Yeah.
but learning resources is their educational choice. There
Yeah.
was some of my favorites because they can literally be used in like so many different ways, centers and things like that. And for a variety of age groups. Um, Cause and effect toys are also really fun, which I didn't know what that meant when someone was like, what's a cause and effect toy? We all know what it is. It's just like those ones that you turn or you push. One would think, oh, that's a baby toy, but honestly, that toy can open up so many different avenues for kids,
Hmm.
whether they're 5. And my own kids are 5 and 8, and they come in my classroom every afternoon and play with my toys, like the toys that are in the preschool room. Like, so people don't put an age limit on toys and don't say, oh, that's a baby toy, because honestly, a toy can be a toy, for any age group.
Yeah.
But ones that I use a lot when I really am trying to work on the data taking or want to use in a variety variety of ways are wind up toys that you can
Mhm.
find, on Amazon, the Dollar Tree, things like that. Puzzles are really fun. Usually I try the big chunky ones, working on fringe vocabulary, saying more, matching. Light
Mhm.
up toys, I find them a lot at like the pharmacies, like Walgreens, CVS, where they have the little button and they like light up.
Mhm.
Yes, those are hit, and I have a whole box in my room of, like, those fun things that I bring out for different seasons so that they're exciting for kids. It's
Mhm.
brand new. Oh my goodness, she has right now, I have the bunny one out. I just took the bunny one out before spring break. Foam blocks are great because they can get wet. You can put shaving cream on them. They can
Mhm.
stack. You can do colors. So you really almost take a toy and make it more magical because if you're excited about the toy, they're excited about the toy. So those are ways that you can just take something very simple and cheap and use it in a variety of different ways.
Yeah, I love how you're saying that. It is like it's just something so small, and you're like, "Ugh, they're not gonna like a slinky," and you're like, wait, they don't know
Oh,
what a slinky is. Show them what a slinky is, and that it can go downstairs or push it off a chair and get to the floor, push it off the table to get to a chair to get to the floor. Like, those simple toys that I feel like sometimes are missed because we try to go so grandiose with what we want to give and have our students do, and it's got to light up and it's got to make noise and it's got to do all these things, and sometimes it's not always the case that it's going to be exciting for them.
yeah,
So
like the simple toys like are the most fun.
yeah, for sure. How do you get started with setting up your physical space? I know you have like a corner of your classroom that's kind of the like dramatic play center. So how do you get that set up?
So, yes, it can be very expensive. So initially I was very grateful. There is another TPT seller that lives really close to me, and she owns her own preschool, and she lends out her monthly bins that
Mm,
have like a theme in them, and she would lend them out to us, which was very generous. And so that's how I got started. And then I started looking on buy nothing groups. So areas have certain ones, and I started collecting things like that and figuring out how I can use things in multiple different ways. And then also they really encourage us to have kids make their own crafts. So a lot of times we made like a pizza oven out of a box. Um,
mhm,
we had like paper clothes and we were ironing with that. Um, but the expensive part, I will say, ask friends, family, put it on social media, donors choose. There's so many different things, and people want to help teachers. I just posted something very simple, like, hey, I'm starting from scratch. I don't have a lot of materials. And people are like, I have this. And like,
mhm,
great. Now, sometimes I have an abundance of things. I'm actually turning people away. Like, actually, I already have 4 pizza ovens. I don't need 5, something like that.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's kind of nice. That's like the good way to start. And I would say go basic. Think of things that you can use. Like, so if you want to do food, do a grocery store because you can also use your grocery store in Pancake Cafe
Mhm.
or in waffles or ice cream. Like, if you do a food based one,
Yeah.
we did dinosaurs, which a lot of people, like my co-teacher and I were like, well, are they going to love this? They loved it. We literally got sand, dinosaurs. We bought stuff at the Dollar Tree, like magnifying glasses. And
Fake
things like that.
plants.
Yes,
Feel
like
like
it
that could be a
was
part of it. Yeah.
yeah, it was wild how like that one was so minimal that but the kids had so much fun. So it doesn't have to be like overstuffed
Yeah.
with your things. Family is the unit we start out with every year, and that's basically like baby dolls. And I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of kids have a lot of baby dolls. Like I take a lot of my own kids stuff that they're growing out of and I bring it into school. And like my coworkers are also like, hey, my kids are growing up. Do you want this or this? Like, so I asking is not something I'm good at, but I've had to learn to be good at. Be like, hey, I
Yeah.
could really use X, Y, or Z. So um that's been beneficial.
Yeah, so not every theme for the or not every monthly theme you have like this whole kitchen setup or grocery store setup. Sometimes it's smaller bins. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, smaller bins. And then as this has been my second year, I've started accumulating more and looking at so we get a very small budget every year from the special education funds. It's like $100, which sounds like it's a lot. It is a lot of money, but it only goes so far. So I've really, my co-teacher and I have looked at that and said, what can we buy that we can use in multiple ways? We do have some really gracious families that have said like, hey, we're done with our taco set. Do you want it? Yes, please. And the wild thing is a lot of times toys that are not played with at at the student's home, they get sent into school and it's like a whole new world. It's the same toy, but a different location.
Mhm.
So, even just putting in a monthly newsletter, like, hey, we're really looking for X, Y, and Z. If you have anything laying around, you'd be really surprised what people will give.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure people have stuff at home, and I know a lot of families are doing like toy rotations now. So like what's in for their house right now might be out, in a storage unit, so they might as well just pass it over to a class to use for a month or two. So yeah, I love that idea that you are bringing like the community into it, like your teachers, people in your neighborhood. You put it on Facebook Marketplace, just to get those small items or here or there that you're really looking for. Any other tips and tricks that you have for play-based learning?
I think I said this once, but it's really important not to overload your center. So initially in my block center, I had too many things. So that means basically kids were taking buckets and dumping it. I had 3 different types of blocks. And then at the end of center time, it was just one giant mess for me to clean
Yeah.
up. So I learned less is more in this case,
Mhm.
like having 2 different types of blocks, one type of car, some figurines. And that way, one, the kids are having to work together more, which implements socialization, but also might implement a little bit of tiffs, but it's
Mhm.
good. It teaches them how to work through problem solving. If there's only 2 Paw Patrol pups and there's 3 kids that want it, that's a great time that you implement, hey, this is how we're going to learn to
Yeah.
share and turn take and ask and not grab.
Mhm. For sure.
Um, so that's and we change it frequently. We change every 2 weeks. So my
Okay.
co-teacher and I, she has a unit and I have a unit, and then we switch about the 15th of the month. If the month is shorter, we kind of like look at it. And that kind of helps. So it it does take a lot of prep work. Like we literally prepped from January through June in November. And we looked at like what are things we're gonna need, start looking on
Mhm.
Facebook, start asking friends,
Yeah.
family. So it did take a little bit of it, but as are in our second year, we haven't had to do as much like jumping in and learning and finding
Mhm.
things because we've had stuff from last year. So I'm hoping year 3, it'll just be a little bit easier that I'm not running all over my town, like picking up random things for school.
Yeah. I have two follow-up questions just based
Yeah.
off what you were just saying. One is a quick and easy one. How long are your centers in your day? Because I know you said like it's a rotation. So like how long can a student be in the dramatic play center?
So center time is about 25 to 30 minutes. And I have 6 total centers, but only 3 are open at a time. We have a morning, even though it's 4 hours, we have like a morning right when we come in. And then
Mhm.
after we go to recess, we have another center time. So there's 6 different centers they can choose from, but
That's
3, if
awesome.
that makes sense.
Yeah. And then can you give us a general idea of like what your rules are for that area? Because I know you said like kids were just dumping blocks. Or like, is that still okay? Have you kind of put some parameters around that?
Definitely parameters. I have visuals up at every center so they know the rules of the center. And if they dump it, they pick it up. They know that.
Hmm.
Like, so we usually do centers before snack. So they dump it out, they pick it up, snack time's over. Like I'm pretty strict on that sense because I don't want them to think I can just go dump all this stuff and then, oh,
Go back
Miss
to them.
Ash's gonna clean it up.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so they do know those are the rules. And they can, so only 4 kids are allowed in each center. And I have a visual where they take a picture to each center. So if someone already picks, and like usually dramatic play is one of the big ones, depending on the topic. If the first 4 kids pick that, then blocks and art's the only thing open. And that's a skill that kids have to learn, that they might have to wait a few minutes for someone to be done in dramatic play or blocks so they can go in there.
Yeah,
Um,
for
so yeah,
sure.
that helps, them work through those issues at times.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for sharing all of that. Like, I think I've really opened up my world to be like, how can we make this work in every classroom? So it is. It's so exciting to like have that unstructured time where they are still learning and interacting with one another, even if it's just a parallel play. It's really kind of nice to see that like learning can happen in an unstructured setting. So thank you for sharing all of that. Do you have any other resources or materials, blog posts, anything that we can, I can make sure to link below so that everybody can follow you and find you?
Absolutely. So I have a blog post on dramatic play. I have few on like turn taking. I'm almost finishing up one about eloping because I have a few elopers this year
Mhm.
and some tips and tricks, but I will send you all the links. I will say following me on Instagram or subscribing to my email list are where I give a lot of my tips and tricks. I haven't really dove into creating TPT products yet for pre-K, but if I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah, and I know you have a really good social media post. I think it's on Instagram with all the wind up toys too. And so if somebody's looking for some more ideas, it was really cool to see how you kind of came up with those too. So I'll make sure to link as many things as I can below so that people can find you.
Thank you.
And of course, if anybody has any questions along the way about this, do not hesitate to comment. Like we will make sure to get you an answer. If it's not from me, I'll make sure Ashley can get you an answer. But thank you so much for being here, Ashley. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. I had fun.